So we're down at Dorset to test out the new 2022 WR250F at Rogers Hill. Really looking forward to this test, something different, great facility, lots to do, lots to ride here, lots of different terrain, some good obstacles, two motocross tracks. Yeah, and I can't believe that I haven't been to this place before. Really impressed with the bike. It's been a while since I've rode a WR, and also, when you say the word WR, you kind of do think of a bike which is maybe a little bit sluggish, a little bit heavy. When I'd rode them previously, I'm going back quite a way. Obviously, I've rode the up-to-date motocross version, and that's exactly kind of what this is. It's the cross-country bike, and it is absolutely insane. How good the bike is. Across all disciplines is real good. For me, it is a competition bike. Yamaha haven't shied away from that fact. That it's the new 250F engine, frame. There's more flexibility in the frame. What they've done with this one is they put the engine brackets at a different position, so you get a little bit more flex, a little bit more feel from the bike. The suspension, in all honesty, typical Yamaha, it's managed to suit quite a wide range of riders, and definitely across all the things that I rode and tackled today. But I'd probably say that most enduro people, if you are an enduro specialist, you'd probably think that the bike is a little bit too firm, and you'd probably want to soften up the suspension a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because when I was riding around on a motocross track, normally when I ride an enduro bike on a motocross track, I always feel like the suspension is just too soft, and like your wrists or you're bottoming things out, and the suspension can't cope with it. Whereas today that bike, it coped with it. That's not to say that it was really nervous through the woods, because it wasn't hitting some of the tree roots and things like that. It's just that for me, probably if I was to have this bike and I was going, depending on what terrain you're on, but I'd probably soften it up a little bit if I was more specialising on the enduro, in the enduro circuit. But for hare and hounds, it's good to go. Yeah, so you've got a larger tank at 7.9 litres. We've touched base on the suspension. One of the things that I thought when I first sat on the bike was, I thought that I wasn't a fan of the cable clutch, if I'm honest, and it was kind of one of those things that was a bit of a negative. Only because I know, from previous enduro bikes that I've ridden, that the hydraulic clutch is, it is a good plus, to be fair, to have on a bike, because when you're going through the woods, and especially when it's a little bit cold, you do want a light clutch. And I was surprised. It surprised me, because the pull on the clutch lever is actually really good. And when I was riding around the track, and some of the tight, like, I wouldn't say extreme, but tight circuit with some obstacles in, it didn't fade out, and you always had that bite right where you needed it. I was a little bit worried with a bit of clutch fade, just because I didn't want to be going through the woods and having to adjust the clutch, which I didn't have to do. I didn't have to adjust that clutch at all. And also, like I say, on that short circuit, it was fine, and I was abusing the clutch quite a bit as well. I did play about quite a bit with the mapping as well. So, it download smartphone app tuning. So yeah, you can download the Yamaha Pro Tuner app, and you can alter the timing, you can alter the jetting, and there's a lot of gains to be made from that. So today I went out on the bike in standard form, tried the two map switches, which there was a difference, so it was quite nice to be able to feel that difference between the two. I left it in the standard mode. I didn't have the light flashing too much on the softer, smoother mode. I just thought that was a little bit too flat. Really surprised how much more this bike revved and pulled all the way through the range. So you could really kind of hang it out there in the cornfield, and let the bike chug and do what it needs to do through the tight section. So that's one of the things why I enjoyed riding the bike. It does feel a little bit slimmer than the previous ones, and yeah, it's got a good, really good base to start from, and I think it's going to meet the needs for most levels. And if you are at the top end, I don't think you're going to do too much to this bike other than mess about with the fueling and the timing, and that's why I wanted to try it. So I tried it at Dylan Jones. They were putting some maps in. They already had some maps to hand. I tried a motocross map, which was basically advanced the ignition a little bit and a little bit more fueling. Tried one where it's retarded, a little bit less fuel. I found that the bikes this year really did favour having, well, for me personally, on a motocross track and out there in the open field, they did like to have a bit more fuel thrown at it for me. So that was good, and you could really feel the bike drive and just give it that little bit extra legs at the top to match the rev range or the over rev. The bike's so quiet. It's surprisingly how quiet the bikes are when you're riding around. That tells me that there's a lot to be gained by getting an aftermarket exhaust pipe for these bikes. So there's more power definitely and more response to be gained. And again, it just echoes that this now is a competition bike. It's not, it's not like that WR of old where you think to yourself, oh, it's a nice bike, but it's a little bit bulky and it's a little bit flat, a little bit slow. And when I say that, I'm not talking about the bike over the last kind of couple of years. I'm talking about before that, when they were kind of steel framed. The bikes then they've always been good bikes, but it was just, I think they've kind of got away from that, or they're going to get away from that thought process of you thinking that it's a nice, enjoyable bike to ride, but it's a little bit too slow, because it's definitely not the case. I mean, one of the main things for me, or one of the main questions that I always get asked, is, can you ride the enduro bike on the motocross track? And I've done that previously, and a lot of people do that, and you can. This one, as I've said, definitely you can get away with riding this bike around the motocross track. When I was riding around on the motocross track, yeah, it didn't have that kind of, let's say that little last kind of 10%, what the normal motocross range or what the YZF has. But at the same time as well, it was allowing me to push in certain other areas, and for my skill level and capability, it wasn't like holding me back enough for me to be moaning loads about it. That's for certain. And if anything, it was like I said, it was a surprise, massive surprise. So one of the things for me regarding this bike is its price. It's just under £7,800, which, to be fair, is a lot of money, but it's also a lot of bike, and it is one of the lowest priced bikes out there. Again, it's just good. It's just good value for money.